Hi, this is John Boyle. I'm about to reenact this experiment that I did benchmarking Llama-cpp on a couple of CUDA cards in extreme temperatures. Okay, now if you have tried doing the Llama-cpp benchmark before and struggled, you're not alone. The current state of it is pretty buggy, right? What I'll do is I'll repeat this at room temperature right now. So I actually have a Z640 workstation that I'm on right now, and I love dashboards, so there's all this information in the background here on the right. That is my local workstation. The Grafana instance over here, this is reading no data because I'm not connected to the remote workstation with the actual Volta cards that I've got. So now as soon as I SSH in, I get an SSH tunnel, Grafana comes to life, and then I can cd into the test directory, and I can run this benchmark this way, right? So I'm using my own Llama build. I'm not doing the Phoronix Test Suite benchmark because it is buggy and it is incorrect, but I'm using the same models, okay? So what you see is the model on the left, the dashboard on the left, and Grafana is recording all my temperatures over time, all my wattage, my energy consumption, and it's going to run this series of tests in parallel. Okay, now this is something that the Phoronix Test Suite benchmark does not do yet, right? There's just a standard llama-batched, which is a single thread, and that's not an accurate indication of the hardware performance. So when I do this, right, so I'm going to, it's already loading up, and it's putting that model on across both cards with the NVLink. I'll see this spike, right? All of a sudden GPU utilization will spike, there it goes. And in this case, it was running a series of tests in batch, right? So this is actually the parallel test. This is a far better indication of hardware performance when it comes to parallel performance and benchmarking, right? So the cards doing a single thread do something like, not much, 64 tokens, right? They're older cards. But when I get up to 4, 8, 16, 32 parallel benchmarks, generating 32 threads at a time, my tokens per second skyrocket, right? They scale very well. So I will suddenly see 325 right now. 450 is what I typically would get at room temperature, right? Now you can see over here, this data isn't quite live, but the power draw is 200 watts. Again, the cards are rated at 250. Firmware locks them at 200 for safety, which is really too bad for these cards. When I repeat this temperature in minus 40 degrees outside in the cold and the frigid Midwest during winter, the efficiency is much better, right? Wattage is lower. Max speed is the limiter, right? So the maximum speed is hit in the firmware, which is, I believe, 1.8 gigahertz in each card. And it uses less watts and it uses less fans, right? You can see the fan speed over here is spiking as well because the cards are getting hot during the benchmark. The cold is just so much more efficient, right? And what the Grafana side doesn't actually do, Prometheus technically records data points, right? So I can approximate how many watts over time I'm using for this benchmark. And in fact, the better use case would be to have an inline power monitor or a professional enterprise PDU, which actually monitors energy consumption over time, right? What I can see here is that I've got two cards that are popping up to 200 watts each, right? In addition to the system power consumption, I believe, which maxes out at about 1,000 watts. So I get the same benchmark here. And again, I've done a 4,004 kilo token inference and essentially 8,000 token inference across 32 parallel threads. 32 token generated, right? So doing text generation of 32 tokens each, and I'm doing parallel bursts of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 up to 32. Okay. So you see here, I've got 449 tokens per second across both GPUs, and then you can see the workload and temperatures all come back down, right? Two things: if I'm running this in production and it's continuously running, right, handling everybody's requests, I'm going to have to make sure that they're cooled, right? And not just the GPU, but the whole system, right? And again, we have friends in the Middle East that are putting these installations in deserts. They have to cool the room, which takes a lot of energy just to cool the GPUs and the rigs, right? doing this outside in the Northwoods when it's freezing, when it's minus 40 and 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius are the same, right? That's where they cross minus 40. It's really cold. The system operates up to 30% more efficient, and that means better performance, more consistent performance, and less energy used, right? I wouldn't necessarily go put your data center outside in a frozen tundra field, but this is what we see, right? It's a lot more efficient when it's colder. This is not colder, right? This is room temperature, and you can see that not only is it warmer GPUs, it takes a while for them to cool down after the benchmark is run, but they only cool down to just a little bit above ambient temperature, right? When it's minus 40 out, these GPUs actually will hover right around 5 degrees warm, right, during load, which is fantastic. That's what overclockers do, right? They want to put liquid nitrogen into a system. They want to make sure that the heat, that thermal footprint, is maximum dissipation, right? And if you're running a production install, if you're going to actually posted a post on the DGX1, right? The machine that was used to train ChatGPT 3.5, I believe, and he found that llama-batched wasn't enough, right? That was only enough to essentially maximize a fraction of the machine and utilize a fraction of the machine. The machine was built for training, right? So that many GPUs, I believe 8 of these cards, 8 of these V100 cards on SXM interconnects, right? That is a widely interconnected system built for training a model, right? Inference is a different use case, right? Inference is going to be localized to essentially 1 or 2 cards. And in this case, again, when we do the batch, we have a far better demonstration of balancing the workload across multiple cards. Okay, so don't trust any of the data, any of the benchmarking data you see on open benchmarking from these Llama.cpp benchmarks on Phoronix yet. They are inadequate. I don't want to say inadequate. They are misleading, right? Because the actual data that it puts out is not an indication of how well your hardware performs. So, anybody that's curious how to do this, or curious again, I actually customized the NVidia Grafana dashboard a little bit. So I've got a row here to represent the 2 cards that I have. I don't have the NVLink monitor in here as well. Also, again, I use the community NVIDIA monitor. I don't use the official data center grade monitor from NVIDIA, because guess what? It doesn't include fan speeds. It doesn't include things that workstation cards typically would have. Right? So this has more data, in my experience, than the actual NVIDIA supported monitors. Anyway, anybody that wants to see this data or compare their own benchmark, please let me know, and I'll drop a link in the. I've also got a massive 8-bug issue file with Phoronix Test Suite. So anybody having trouble running the benchmark, check the link at the bottom, and actually we'll follow up with that as well. I'm hoping that the benchmark will be fixed soon. Otherwise, if you want to run this manually on your kit, or you want to select some new kit for doing inference, please let me know.